Hi, everybody. I am Michelle Solis from This Must Be Ink. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Seekonk, Massachusetts. And welcome to, it's Friday night, July 3rd, 2026, and welcome to my Stamp and Sip workshop. I don't always stamp on a Friday night, but when I do, I'm stamping with all of you. So tonight we are going to be making this little accordion card. I did this one with the Everyday Arches dies. So I'm going to show you how to put this together, and you can create this just as well with without the arches dies. You can make these rectangles here if you'd like. The premise would be the same for a different shape. But I bought the arch dies, and I had been wanting to make this card, so I finally tackled it, and I will show you how to make it. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining. All right, so we are going to turn the camera down and get started, but meantime, everybody take a sip of wine. I am drinking Oliver. I love that brand of wine. It's nice and sweet. They're all Moscatos or sweet wines, and I just love them. So that is what I am drinking tonight. All right, let's get the camera over here. All righty. There we go. All right, let's just get a little bit more light. There we go. All right, so this is the card. This is the one that I created as a sample, and I did this with the Waterside Retreat, I think, paper, and the Relaxing Waterside bundle. So I used some of the stamps in this bundle and some of the dies in this bundle for this card. Okay, so it opens like this. It's like a little trifold accordion, and it's got the three arches here. So in order to make this card, you're going to need some pieces. All right, let me bring in the arches so you can see. So the arches are made with, this is the 9th largest die, or the second one in here. Okay, so this is the 9th one. I'm counting from the middle, so this is the 9th. And then you want also the 7th. Okay, so that's the 7th and the 9th arch dies if you're counting from the middle. You can see there is a larger die here, but this one is exactly 4 inches wide. And you can use this one for these arched panels, but you will need a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. So I did not want to use 12 by 12 cardstock on this. It's a little thinner than regular cardstock, and I really wanted this to have some, some weight to it and not be too flimsy. So I used a regular size cardstock, which means that I had to go down one size in the die. Okay, so that's why we did that. All right, so that's what you're using for this. So you're going to need 3 of the larger size die, that 9th die. You're going to need 3 of them in whatever cardstock you choose. This is Misty Moonlight that we're using tonight. And then with the 7th die, we're going to cut out our designer series paper for the panels. So tonight I'm using, again, the Waterside Retreat. And so I've decided to use this paper with the birds. I would have loved to make this exactly the same again, but this panel is from one of those pages in the DSP pack that has all the little cutout rectangles and squares. And I didn't have another one to use tonight. So we're just going to use a piece of designer series paper, 12 by 12, to and I cut that to go in the middle. Okay. All right, so those will be the 3 designer series pieces. Designer series paper pieces. It was a tongue twister for this card. Okay, and then you will need this piece. This is 2.5 by 10 7/8. So you need to cut that little 1/8 of an inch off at the end of your 11-inch piece of paper in order for these panels to fit exactly the way they need to. Okay, so it's 10 7/8. And we're going to score that. So I'm going to bring in my scoring board. Hey, Lorraine, thanks for joining. Okay, so I'm using my scoring board because I find that I get better. I score it more consistently when I use my scoring board. So we are scoring at 3 5/8. So 3 5/8. And then 7 1/4. Okay, that's all you need to do for this card base. All right, so this is the piece that is going to hold all of your panels. And you're going to fold this. One of these folds, you're going to go back. So it'll be like a valley fold. And the other one is going to fold the opposite way. So you're going to get a Z. Okay? Now, how do you figure out which one is the front panel or holds the front panel? So you want to have this facing where this is the front panel and you've got a mountain fold here, and then you've got a valley fold here. So mountain to the left, valley to the right, and that is going to be how your card base goes. Because you want this to hold your front panel, and then you want these other 2 to fold up behind that. Okay, so just remember that the one on the left, where you have this mountain fold, that's the front. That's the first panel. So your panels are going to go on like this. They should fit exactly in between those score lines. Okay, now to get them on, what you're going to do is put some glue right on here. Trying to get this on the back of your arch is too hard. You're going to go right onto this panel. Don't get any glue on the score line. And then you're going to fit your arch right to the left of that score line. And you're going to line it up with the bottom edge and the side edge. So that should be lining up right straight to the bottom and to the side. And then you'll do the next one the same. This is going to fit right in between those 2 score lines, and we're going to again line it up right at the bottom. A little bit of glue oozing out there. Just get that as straight as you can. And then this last one will line up on this last panel. So again, just glue onto this card base and then add your arch here. Now, if you don't have the arch dies, you could certainly use a rectangle here. Okay. So there you go. Now you've got your card base, and this second panel folds behind, and then the third panel folds behind that. And this will fit in a regular envelope. So that will be the front, and then this is the back. And you can see you've got this piece of cardstock shows here, but we're going to put some decorations on the back, so that won't be as noticeable. Okay, so your designer series paper, your arches are going to go here in those arches, and it makes it look like it's framed. Actually, I'm going to do the middle one first. So it looks like it has a bit of a frame around this, which is what I really liked about it. And what I'm going to do is try to center this so I've got about the same width here and on the sides and on the bottom. Okay, and then we've got this panel. We're going to get some glue on here. And then just line this one up. You want to line up the bottom and center it again on your arch. And then this one. Okay. And again, we're just going to try to make sure that it's lined up with that bottom there. Oh, it's a little far over. There we go. It'll be a little high. Okay, just eyeball it. It's never going to be perfect. We say it's handmade, not Hallmark. There you go. Okay, so now all we have to do is decorate the front of it. And I wanted to show you how I made a couple of these. Oh, I should have stamped the birds first. Well, now we're going to have to just say a little prayer that we can stamp the birds straight. All right, let's do that while we're here. Where is my ink? All right, so I'm using Misty Moonlight ink. And we're going to add some birds. Everybody hold your breath. All right, ink up our bird here. And we're going to get him flying. Oh, maybe two. And then we'll get some birds on this end as well. Maybe one. Oops, one over here. There we go. Okay. Okay. So then on this first panel, I had created these little pilings, and let me show you how I did that. What I did was just take a piece of the paper. This is one of the pieces in the Designer Series paper pack, and it's just this wood grain. So what I did was I just cut up this wood grain, this line in the paper, and just cut out this little square. I think that, well, it could have been a little taller, but that's all right. We'll just work with this. So I'm going to cut this again on this shadow line there. And then I rounded the top a little bit, just by hand, just gave it a little bit of an arch. And the same thing with the other one. And then I wanted one to be a little bit shorter than the other. So I'm going to cut the bottom of this one off a little bit. Okay, so that one's going to be shorter and look like it's in front when we get done. Okay, so what I did to give this a little bit more depth is I used a sponge dauber. And I believe this is gray granite. So we took some gray granite ink and my sponge dauber. And I just got some ink on my dauber. And then I just put some ink on the edge. Just flicking that on the edge there to give it a little bit of a shadow, so it looks a little bit more three-dimensional. Okay, you can see the difference between the two of them. So we're going to do that to this one too. Just gives it a little more definition. I don't like this technique sometimes on a card because it makes, I think it makes it look older and kind of grimy. But that shabby chic people really love. It's not my favorite, but I do like this for some techniques. And if you're trying to make something look a little bit more three-dimensional, this is a good technique for that. Okay, so we're going to close this up before I have a disaster. Okay, and then what I did, I'm going to glue this one down. Okay, so that's going to, all right, well, it went glue side up, so that's good. All right, then I'm going to get that right on here. I'm going to put it right in the corner. And then this one, I put a little bit of twine around it. So you know how pilings sometimes have that like rope? So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to flip this over and put a little bit of tear and tape. Just a little piece here to help me hold that. Well, I say twine, it's actually linen thread. Okay, so I'm going to take that paper backing off. We're going to use the linen thread and we're going to just go around a couple times. So I'm going to stick this end onto the tear and tape on the back. It'll hold it. And then I can just go around a couple times. Well, 4 times to be exact. And then I'm going to cut that off and just stick it down to that tear and tape. And that should stay on there. Okay. And then I'm going to raise that up with some dimensionals. And it'll look like it's standing in front of this one. So that also gives you a little bit of dimension there. Okay, so on that panel, I also did some little buoys. I had these little buoys here. Well, see, he's a little shorter than the other one that I made. So we may have to punt a little bit, make it a little bit more like that. That'll work. So this one I'm going to glue down. I'm going to just put it in so it looks like it's hanging off the side of the buoy, of the piling. And then this one I'm going to put a little dimensional on. That's why we have these mini dimensionals. And we need just a little piece on that, on the top part of that. Okay. So I'm going to get it like that. Okay. So also on this panel, I had done these little sea reeds, cattails. So I have die cut some of those. I die cut them in white and then I colored them. This is Peaceful Pine, dark and light. And then this is Crumb Cake and this is Pecan Pie. So I'm going to make this last one. This is the light Peaceful Pine. So you cut them out in white. You can make them any color you want with your Stampin' Blend markers. And then we'll do this one. We'll do some Crumb Cake again here for the cattail part. Okay, and those just went here in the corner, the other corner. So I'm going to glue down 2 of them in the background. And then, actually, I think I glued all 3 of them down because I put the sentiment on top of them. So we'll do that. We'll make it easier because dimensionals are not going to fit on here. These are teeny tiny, teeny skinny things. Okay, so now we just need our sentiment, which is today is your day. And I've got the 3 banner punch that I'm going to use for that. I'm just going to use this top one here. This is my favorite punch. Hopefully it never goes away, but why did it gave me kind of a rough edge here? Hang on. There we go. All right, and again, we're going to go in Misty Moonlight for the sentiment. Today is your day. And we'll put some dimensionals on the back of that. And that's going to go right on top of our, yep, these things, cattails. Right there. Okay, so on the middle panel, I did, again, this was that real pretty panel from that piece of designer series paper with all the scenes, but I didn't have that, so I just used the flying birds, but I'm still going to do the little bicycle here. It says, say I, but where is my bicycle? Uh-oh. Oh, there he is. So I fussy cut this bicycle out of the designer series paper, and this time I fussy cut it with a little bit of the grasses. You can see that. You can see a little bit of the background there, so it doesn't look like it's floating in midair. Okay, so we're going to just glue that down. Now I would hesitate when you're doing this to pop up too many things on the inside panels because you don't want your card to be too fat. Unless it's being hand delivered, then you can do whatever you want. But if you're going to try to get it in the mail, you don't want to make it too fat or too heavy. Okay, so there's my little bicycle. And then on this last panel, I did the little oars and the one of the safety vests that I fussy cut out of the paper as well. And so those are going to go right here. I like these oars better than the other oars. To me, the other oars look almost, they look like flip-flops to me. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These. They give me a flip-flop vibe. So I like this one better. Okay, so there is the front of our card done. And then we need to decide what to do on the back. So of course you're going to need a sentiment panel. And I do like that right in the middle. So I cut just a basic white. I get the same with the same die, the number 7 arch die, if you're counting from the middle. And I'm going to put "Have a Great Birthday" on that. So we'll line this up so we're stamping straight. Have a great birthday. And that will get centered in the middle. And you could put, if you have a lot of people signing the card or you have a long message, you can put 3 white panels on here. It's your card. You can decorate it any way you want. So I've got that one. On this one, I decided to just continue the theme of the birds. Go this way. I work with a lot of people that are crazy about birds, so we are going to go heavy on the birds on this card. So then I will just, again, line this up so it's looking like it's lining up with this one and center it. And the same on the other side. Okay. All right, so then you can put a little bit of bling on here. What did I bring? I brought this one. This is the dewdrops. This says it's Secret Sea, but these look lighter to me, so I'm going to go with them. I think they complement the Misty Moonlight really well. So we're going to get some little blings on here. Where do I want to go? Let's go here. This is always the toughest decision, where the bling goes. There we go. Okay, so that is our card for tonight. Today is your day. And then we're going to tell them have a great birthday. Okay, so it's not hard at all as long as you know the measurements and you get the scoring right and you put your panels on your strip correctly so that it folds back this way. Okay, that's the key. All right, so where's my sample? So here is my sample that we did that I already showed you guys. And then this is the one we did tonight with that same Designer Series paper pack. And then let me show you a couple others that I did. Okay, so this one I did with the Valley in Bloom paper and the, nothing I remember. 1 second, I have it here. The Lily of the Valley bundle. So this is this stamp set, and then I also used the dies, this little piece here, and then I cut out the little flowers. To one of the nicest people I know. And then that just opens up with another piece of the Designer Series paper here that I stamped a little sentiment on. And then the last panel just featuring one of the flowers. And then the back on this one, I left the 2 panels empty. But what I did here, you can see that you don't see that strip running across the back. So what I did was I cut 2 more of the same size panels with that with the larger arch so that I covered that completely. And I think that is a really nice look there and makes it look very nice, neat, and complete. So that's an option as well. And then we've got this one that I did with the Beach Boardwalk paper. So I love this paper with the palm trees. So I combined this one with a couple of things. The Splash and Relax. It's where we got the little flip-flops and sunglasses. And then also the Rolling Waves set. Okay, so I combined this with that. So there's the front, and then the middle says relax and enjoy with the little sunglasses. And then, oh, and I did use the chair from the Waterside retreat, relaxing waterside. I used the chair on the last panel. Okay, and then on the back of this one, I left these two empty and just put a sentiment in the middle, a white piece for sentiment in the middle, and this was cut with that same large arch die. Okay, so that's another option. And then my last one, I covered up over here. The last one I did was with the Winnie the Pooh set, Sweet Old Friend. So this paper was from the Beautiful Ordinary Life. This is one of the pieces in that pack. So here's little Pooh. He's trying to decide where to go to find more honey. And it says, sometimes when you go looking for happiness, happiness finds you. So he found his little pot of honey there. Okay, so there's that one. And then on the back, the other sides of that Beautiful Ordinary Life are black and white. So there was a black and white with this same is it a hexagon? Hexagon shape, the beehive shape. And so I just used that on the back, and I colored a couple of the little areas yellow to add a little bit of yellow from that, like we'll pull that together from the front. So there's that one. Okay, well, I hope you liked this. I can't fold it. There we go. I hope you liked this card. I have been meaning to do this card since I got my arches dies, and I finally tackled it. So I hope you like that. And if you got the arch dies, I hope that you try it. And as I said, you could even do this with a different shape. You could do a big oval. You could do a rectangle. Anyway, you've got the mechanism, so you can get that created. Okay, so let's turn the camera back down here. There we go. Okay. All right. Thanks, you guys, for watching. If you enjoyed that, I hope that you'll join me again next week. And if you should subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss a live. So I am here every Friday night with my Stamp and Sip live workshop. Also, if you want the written instructions and measurements for the card, jump on my email list. You want to go to thismustbeink.com and sign up for my email. So I will send that out this week, all the measurements and the written instructions to create this card. Okay, so I think that's it for me. That's all I have to tell you. All right, everybody, have a great 4th of July weekend. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and stay crafty, my friends. I'll see you next week.